Hello everyone, this is Lucy from Seaside Tarot Channel, and I'm just responding to Candy, Soul and Soil's video on the anatomy of a deck collection. And this particular video is a response to unused decks and why. Alright, so I have a confession to make. I have a lot of unused decks. I have a box of vintage decks, a box of Tarot de Marseille decks, which I don't use, and a box of Oracle, and a box of Italian decks, and I have a bookshelf full of decks that I'll pull off for particular reasons, such as season of the year or the time of the wheel, or there's a particular challenge happening on Facebook or YouTube. I'll pull the decks out. When I'm reading for others, I tend to stick to one or two decks that are easy to read with an oracle. So consequently, I have a lot of decks that are still wrapped, and my friends, my tarot friends, are quite horrified that I haven't even opened them yet. And the reason I haven't opened them is I only have 12 months of the year. So how many decks can you use in the 12 months when you only play with one or two per month? So when you back a whole pile of decks on Kickstarter and they all come in at once, they all get put on a shelf, still sealed, waiting for the day that I will play with them. So sometimes I'll sell them off, and sometimes I'll say no, I'll keep them. Just depends on whether I've watched a video on YouTube that reviews the deck, and I'll think, oh, I might use that after all, so I put it back on the shelf. But other times I will sell it for the price that I've paid or less. So let's start with Candy's prompts. Panic or binge buying? Well, binging, I tend to binge. I don't binge anymore, but for a couple of years there I binged because the price of shipping from the US was astronomical. So it was cheaper to buy a collection of decks from a creator than to just buy one. So consequently, I have a lot of Il Meneghello, a lot of Pablo's decks, a lot of Eve's decks. So I've got a box of Italian decks and a box of Tarot de Marseille decks, but today I'm just going to show you an example of what binging is like when you buy from overseas. Same with Tarot Shop in the UK. It's cheaper to buy more than one. It's cheaper to buy in bulk multiple decks than to just buy one. So consequently, I have a lot of Robert M. Places decks. They're not all here. This is just one shipping. So I have the Alchemical Tarot, still shrink wrapped, the Tarot of Sevenfold Mysteries, which I might open for this Christmas, the Tarot of Alchemical Magnus Opus, which is still in its box, shrink wrapped, but I did open the Marzinano Tarot, and this is a replica of an Italian deck, I think. So you can tell I haven't studied it. So I bought these 4 because the shipping was almost the same as shipping 1. And one day I might just sell it. This one's all got birds in it. So just so I haven't had time to study it yet. So one day I might. So that's panic buying or binge buying. I didn't get out my Il Menegallo, and I didn't get out my Paradis Marseille from the various creators that are popular at the moment. They're all kept in a pretty box under my altar. So they're my Robert M. Place. I do have his angels, and I do have his saint, and I have his Buddha. I just don't have, there was one I don't have. I'll probably never get it because they go up in price very quickly once they're out of print. And that's another reason why I binge buy, because once it's gone out of print, I can't afford to buy them on eBay. So second one, it's a completely different system that I haven't learnt yet. But I do have 3 decks to study it, and I've had them for quite a while. I have the Aurorium Lenormand. So I haven't studied Lenny, the system of Lenny Lenormand, and I have Robert M. Place's Yuki Lenormand, and I have Ranga George Lenormand, all still sealed, and they'll probably stay still for a while. So I'll put those away. Next on my list, saving it for best. I got out the Blood Moon. I have opened the Blood Moon, but I haven't used it, but I'm saving it for the right time. And it's beautiful cardstock, and I backed this in 2018 when I first started realizing that there's indie decks available, and I backed it because of this card. The Fool. It sent goosebumps down my legs when I saw that card, but I haven't used it. It's a lovely deck. It's colourful, and I like colourful decks. Put that there. I have the big art book that goes with it, but I just don't have time to read the art book or study this deck because it's a little bit different. So there's the Ace of Honey with the pomegranate and a bee. So this is a study deck for sure. And the snakes, I didn't know there was going to be snakes in this deck before I backed it, because you only got to see the majors, you didn't get to see the minors. Snakes, I live in Australia, so I have a great fear of snakes. I give them their space. So I'm not enamored with snakes, let's say. And I worry that my little dogs will hunt them and get bitten. So the Emperor. So the art book is quite special as well. The art book. So when I backed it, I made sure I backed the art book too, and a few other bits and pieces. Don't know if you can see, it's so big. Don't know if you can see this. There's a star. So I go into great depth on the art book, but needless to say, it's a study that I have to do at some stage. When I get time. When I get time. So there's honey. Skins is another. That's the snakes. Look at that. So I could actually put this in the previous category. It's a different system to the one I'm used to. The majors are all the same, but it deviates on the minors. Dreams, I'd say that's the swords. Songs. Yeah, so that's that category. Saving it for another time, or saving it for best. Saving it for best. I save a lot for best. All right, so the next one on the it's too needy. Well, that's this one. That's this one. It's another one that's difficult to read. You have to actually study the guidebook, and it's the Mythologica Phoenica Tarot by Susanna Salo and Laura Kutova. It's a Finnish deck, and it's now they've now included it in the Museum of Finnish Folk Art, because each of the cards have mythological story behind them. And I just haven't had time to read the book and study the deck. So that must be the wheel. Yes, the wheel. 12. I might use that. I might keep that out. See, the tree of life is the world. Mountain of trolls, bog spirit. So it's definitely one that needs to study the guidebook. Court of serpents. Have no idea what that is. I know. The lovers, wedding of pipe. And it goes into the myth, the story behind. So it's an interesting deck, one that requires a lot of time to actually study it. The vortex. Strength. Dueling singers. So I haven't studied this one at all. In fact, I sold it because I just didn't have time to read and learn it. And I sold it, and then I missed it. I wanted it back because I like to buy tarot decks as souvenirs of places I've been to in this world. So Finland is one place I've been to, and this is my souvenir from Finland. So, interesting deck, a lot of history behind it, one that needs time to learn. All right, next on my list, Cardstock Snobbery. Well, as much as I love these decks, I hate the cardstock. So I just grabbed these three. I don't know if I've got any more with the rose petal cardstock. So I have the nameless one, a tarot and oracle deck, and it's so big and the cardstock so rose petally. I don't get to use it very often. I might use it. It's not as bad as the next one I'm going to show you, but look at that. Isn't that beautiful artwork in the deck? Let me pull it down a bit. Beautiful artwork in the deck. So this is the nameless one by I should know this. Alexandra Huntington. She created the Litha Tarot, and she's doing another, the Children of Litha, and she's doing another one at the moment. I think it's Beltane. This took a long time for her, and the Gilmore art book is quite large. I won't bring it out. It's quite large, and it goes into great detail about the symbols and the meaning of the cards. This is another hard deck to read because you have to know the symbols. There's no numbers. There's no numbers on the deck. And the sigils, I'm not a big sigil person, so this deck is not easy to read for me. So and it's rose petally, so I could never shuffle this properly. I'd have to shuffle it in little chunks. But the artwork is absolutely beautiful. But again, it requires time to study it, time to read the big Gilmore. Is it Gilmore? Gilmore. It's huge, bigger than the Blood Moon Tarot. She put a lot of effort and work into these cards and the book. So if you've got time and you get an opportunity to buy this deck and the book, I recommend it because the artwork is lovely. And of course others have mentioned the true black cards. That's the real pain in the bum cardstock. So I dislike this cardstock immensely. Look at that, and it bows. And I think Angie has mentioned how it's very hard to shuffle, and it goes out of whack very easy. So but I've backed his next deck on Kickstarter, and I'm told that he's going to use the same cardstock, which was a bit of a disappointment. But anyway, so that's the true black, and consequently Alexandra used rose petal on the black edition of the Children of Litha, and when I had an opportunity I bought the gold edition because it's the original cardstock, which is that matte linen, which is my favorite. This one, not my favorite. You can see it's a little bit higher. Not as bad as the true black, but still rose petally. But this one is the nice matte one, easy to shuffle. So this is the Children of Litha in the gold edition, which I use, and the black edition, which I don't use. And I keep meaning to sell it, but I'm waiting to see what she does with the next deck she produces. So again, lovely artwork, and this is quite a favorite in the community, and you can see why. Tells a story. Tells a story. Has dragons and unicorns and pussycats and princesses. There's some dragons. Lynx. Might keep that one out too. Yes. Oh, look at the moon with the dragon. So the colours in the rose petal are more defined, but this gold edition is a lot easier to shuffle and play with. So I've got both of them. So that's binging, isn't it? That's binging. I'll put this away before I get them mixed up. So next on the list, FOMO. Wow. Most of my decks are FOMO. I don't want to miss out. But these two are probably the most FOMO. I waited to the last minute to buy these. This is the Benebel's Ventura. Is it the Ventura? So I haven't even taken it out of its wrapper, out of its bubble wrap. And mine was Kenya, and I don't know if it's got the number on there. So I've got the second edition and the third edition. The third edition, the Revelations, is the coloured one, and I do use that one, but I don't use this one. As you can see, it's still wrapped. It's in sepia tones. I don't have the first edition because I don't like black and white decks, and I wasn't sure whether I'd like this one either. So, and I ordered it in the 11th hour before she took the offer off Facebook, off the web, and so, or off her shop. So I was very lucky to obtain this one. So one day I might open it, one day. But I do use the Revelations, which is the coloured one, and I like that. And I've got the book of maps to go with it. So that's a study deck if ever there was one. Next on that's FOMO, fear of missing out. YouTube made me do it. Well, just recently, YouTube, watching Dawn Michelle go through the Black Lily, I decided I needed the Black Lily, and it took ages to come to Australia. It took forever to get here. And finally, after about 3 months, I think, it arrived, and I just haven't had time to open it. Or I haven't had a challenge that needs that particular style of deck. So that hasn't been opened either. Collector's gene. Well, you could say I'm a collector of sorts. I'm not a professional collector, and I don't collect every printing within a particular version of a deck. I just collect one aisle. So for instance, for the Alice Tarot, I only have one, and I think you only need one of the Baba decks. That being said, I do have 3 editions of the Victorian Romantic. So this is Alice. Do I use it? No. But will I get rid of it? No. Alice in Wonderland was not one of my favourite stories when I was a child. It gave me nightmares. For that particular reason. Look, the pussycat has no body. And off with her head. Off with her head. And magic mushrooms. And Humpty Dumpty breaking his skull. So yeah, no, not an Alice fan. But will I sell this one? Never. That one is mine forever. And the same applies to the Tarot of the Prague. This is still sealed. The Victorian Flower Oracle. The Mythical Creatures Tarot, and that's still sealed. Do I use these? No. Do I collect these? Yes. The Fantastic Menagerie. I had the first edition and I didn't like it, so I sold it, but when this came up I thought I'll get it in the better cardstock. Bohemian Cat Tarot, yes, I have used that one. The Gothic, and I have used that. The Bohemian Gothic Tarot, and am I missing? Oh, yes. And I have used, I'll just put these over here. I have used the Fairy Tale Tarot. I've used that one. Oops, sorry everyone, I did it again. And I have the Victorian Romantic, 4th edition, 3rd edition, and 2nd edition. Do I use them? No. Will I use them? Maybe. Will I keep them? Of course. I will never sell them, and I've just pre-ordered their next printing of the gypsy cards. So that's my Baba collection. I have a collection of Il Meneghello and a collection of different creators for the Tarot de Marseille, and Robert M. Place collection. So next one is Miss Season. Well, now we're up to the 9th prompt. Candy's 9th prompt is, did I miss a season? Did I not use a deck because it wasn't in season? And for that one, I can say I got this deck in winter time, and I've been waiting for swimming season or summertime to actually open it. So let's do that together. Let's do that together. So this is the Wisdom of the Depth Tarot by Lynn Thurman. And I actually had 2 other ocean decks, Healing Waves and another one, and I wasn't keen on them, so I sold them, and I got this one. So this is the Wisdom of the Depth. So we'll see if I like this one too. So far so good. The World, Judgment, It's more old world than the other ones. The sun on a seahorse, queen on a seahorse. The moon with a whale. Star. Tower. Devil. That's cute. Yeah, so far so good. Temperance. Death with mermaids. Hangman. Justice. Hermit. Strength. Chariot on the flying fish. Lovers. Hierophant. And of course Neptune is the emperor. And the Greek goddess Aphrodite. Is it Aphrodite that married the Greek god under the sea, Neptune? You can correct me if I'm wrong, of course. High priestess, musician, and the fool. So that deck hasn't been used yet, and yeah, I'm looking forward. It was a Kickstarter, I think, last year or the year before. I get lost in my years. So that should be fun for summer. All right, the final prompt is overabundance. Well, because I back the creators on Kickstarter, sometimes all the decks come in at once. So you wait 2 years or 18 months, and then all of a sudden they all appear all at once. So this is what happened with these three. The Lubanko Tarot, the Somnia Tarot, and the Fyodor Pavlov Tarot. Fyodor Pavlov Tarot. That's coming out in US games, so this is the indie version, but I should imagine US games will have a very similar, if not the same, cardstock as this one. So they haven't been opened, and I'm just waiting for the right time to open them. So that's my VR to Candy, Soul and Soil channel, and they might the answer to her 10 prompts. So many blessings, everyone. Hope you have a great day. Bye.